Right. Good evening. So we finished database management system past paper discussion. We discussed both MCQ and part 2 questions, right? So I hope that you are good in those areas, right? We don't have enough time to take any other questions in database management system. Try understanding, but if you have doubt in relationship, I try to explain in a regular class, right? Not in the online class because we don't have enough time, right? So that's over. Right, so in grade 10, we have another important unit, which is also included in your past paper second part question, which is spreadsheet. So spreadsheet is something which also needs a quick revision, because without having a revision, sometimes people may have some problem, because if you understood all the concepts in an appropriate manner, then it's okay, you can manage. But if you have some doubts in understanding those relative cell addresses, absolute cell addresses, then definitely you need a quick revision. Right? I'm not going to take much time as I have taken in database. I'm going to revise this spreadsheet in a very quick manner, maybe one class, within one class, maybe 1.5 or 2 class, but I'm not sure. Try to go a little fast and take the revision. So better revise them. After that, we can start doing the past papers. Okay, right. Even though you are good in spreadsheet, wait patiently, right? So you can learn something even though you are good in spreadsheet. Okay, look. So I just want to revise the spreadsheet by pointing the important points, right? So, you know, in spreadsheet, you have to understand this one first. The purpose for spreadsheet. Okay, so I may show them as points, right? So that is important. You can ask yourself whether you are good in that area. So purpose, so it's very simple. Spreadsheet is for calculation. That's enough. There may be some other things done, right? Okay, there may be some other features available, but the main feature, main purpose is performing calculations. That is important. That is the first one. Second, you should know some of the features available in spreadsheet software. Some features or some facilities available in spreadsheet. That is important. Because these questions can be asked in MCQ. So, you know, there are some features, right? Having functions. Functions are special features because they are for performing calculations. Having charts, because with the help of charts, you can analyze the data in spreadsheet. So spreadsheet software can do some analysis part 2, right? So charts. You can filter some data. I might have explained this one in day 10. You can filter some data. You may have a bulk of data there, but you may filter some of the data which you wanted. Say you have student names, right, addresses, cities, religion or something. So now I want to filter the students who belong to Christianity or something. So this is called filter. I can filter them, right? So that facility is there. Even you can sort, arranging the data in descending and ascending. But you know, sort facility may be available in most of the application software, but this is also important. In addition to these features, the spreadsheet has some of the common features like print, spelling and grammar checking, save, right? You know, right? You know some common characteristics, right? Find and replace. There may be many. Okay. Then examples. So remember some examples for spreadsheet. So we applied Microsoft Excel. That is from Microsoft. We have LibreOffice Calc. That is from OpenOffice. Sorry, that is from the Document Foundation. And also we have numbers from Apple. we have calc from OpenOffice, OpenOffice Calc there, OpenOffice Calc, LibreOffice Calc, both are there. Even we have VisiCalc from Apple, right? Lotus 123, so there may be many. Right. Then we should remember these two words, a workbook and worksheet. Okay, workbook, worksheet. What is it? Workbook is a collection of worksheets. Workbook is a collection of worksheets. If you open a spreadsheet software, it means it's a book. But inside of that book, there may be sheets for performing calculation or for performing data. So, you know, when it comes to calculation, you need to have data. So definitely you have some sheets. Those sheets are found in a book called workbook. So workbook, worksheet. After that, you should remember these things, column, row. Right, so two common terms. The vertical components in a worksheet are columns. The horizontal components in a worksheet are rows. Okay, this is the one which I talked about. Okay, so now look here, I just opened a book, workbook. I just opened MS Excel, which means I opened a workbook. You can see the title bar, it shows workbook. So inside of the book, inside of the workbook, I have sheet. This is worksheet. Here, look here, you have 3 worksheets now, but you can add any number of worksheets. By clicking on this icon, you can add any number of worksheets. Okay, right. So what is column? This one, vertical components are columns. So in a worksheet, columns are named by using letters. Look here, first column is A, second B, C, D, E, F. So columns are vertical components. They are named by using alphabets, starting from A, B, C, like that. As I mentioned earlier, horizontal components are called rows. Every horizontal component is a row. Rows are named by using numbers. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like the rows get the numbers, right? So that is another one. Then we should remember the term cell. We should understand the term cell. What is it? So cell is an intersection of a column and a row. So when a column and a row meet, you know, a cell is formed. So that's why I use the word intersection of a column and a row, right? Look here. If I take this cell, see this small box is called cell. How it's formed? The column B and the row number 2 met. So they met in a particular point. That point is called cell. That is called intersection. Look at the first box. So this box or this cell is formed because of A and because of 1. So here 2 components are mixed. So what are the 2 components? This column A and row number 1. Okay. So this is important. This can be asked in MCQ. Cell is an intersection of a column and row. Then cell address. As you can see, a worksheet may have thousands of cells. They are here and there, they are, spread. You know, data must be entered in cells. So there should be a component or something to identify every cell. Because you have thousands of cells, every cell needs to be identified. So Definitely, every cell has a unique number called cell address. Okay, every cell needs to have a unique address or number that is called cell address. Cell address is very important in order to identify the cell. Look here, if I take the first cell, it belongs to column A and also it belongs to row number 1. So how to write the cell address? You have to write the column letter first and the row number. So in this belongs to A, so A1. First of all, write the column letter and then row number. So this must be A1. You cannot write 1A, that is wrong. So if I take another cell, look here, I take this cell. So this cell belongs to E column and 4th row. So how to write E4? This is written as E4. I take another cell somewhere here, this one. So this belongs to column C and row number 7. So this has to be written as C7. This is the cell address. So each and every cell, right? Each and every cell in a worksheet has a unique address called cell address. Right, then we should understand the term cell pointer. Cell pointer. As the name implies, this component can point a cell. Look here, there are thousands of cells, but now I click on this cell and you can see a dark border in that particular cell, D4. So now you have many cells, but the D4 gets this dark color border. What does it mean? So here, this cell has been pointed out. Now, I have pointed this cell, but I have many cells. But now at a time, I point a single cell. Since this dark border helps me to point the cell, then it is called cell pointer. Because of this dark border, I am able to point this cell D4, right? So that's why it is cell pointer. So now I want to point A1. So I just click on A1. Now look here, look at that cell pointer. Now it is placed in A1. So now I am pointing cell A1. It is because of cell pointer. So what is cell pointer? It is a component used to point cells in spreadsheet or in worksheet. Okay, right. Then active cell, right? Active cell. Right? As you can see, you have thousands of cells. But look here, I point the cell here. I point the cell pointer here in C5 and trying to enter some data. I'm trying to enter some data. Now look here. Now I tried data. These data are entered in C5. Have you noted? You have thousands of cells, but the data were entered in only in C5. So what happens? The cell pointer was placed in C5. So when cell pointer is placed in a particular cell, it means that cell is in active state. Now, that may be the reason why the data are entered in cell C5. So suppose if I put the cell pointer in A1 and try entering some data, now you can see the data successfully entered in A1. It is because of that active cell, because I placed the cell pointer there and make that as active, and finally I inserted data. So what is active cell? The cell which is presently selected. You have so many cells, but now the cell which is selected is B5. So this B5 is called active cell. Okay. Right. So as an introduction, you should know these things. If you are able to get the answer for these questions or for these points, it's good. Okay. So I have some other things as basics, but these are two basics. But I have some other things also. So let's take them first. After that, we can move to the functions or formulas. All right, look. So we talked about data entered in a cell. So this is another important thing, types of data which can be entered in a cell. So as we studied earlier, there could be three different types of data entered in a cell. Okay, so they are, first one, label. Second, value. Third, formula. Okay, so you have three different types of data entered in a particular cell. What is it? Label. So it's very simple. Label means combination of letters, numbers, symbols. Even if a cell has only letters, then it is label. So having letters only or combination of letters, numbers, symbols can be called label. So let me type some data in a cell. Look here, I want to type something in C2. So I type, look here, number no 5. Put a comma, write something like ABC or something. Now here, look here. The data which I have entered in cell C2 is called label because it is a mixture of letters, numbers, symbols. So this is label. And go to the C3, and now this time I type a name, right, like cat or something, cat. So this is also label. Don't think that it has only alphabet and it has another name. No, label is a common name used to describe any kind of text related things. So this is purely text. This has text, number, symbol, everything is called label. Even if I type cat 5, that is also label. So these three should be labels. As we studied earlier, labels take the left alignment in a cell. Don't forget, every label takes the left alignment. Look at this cell. So look at the position of the data. They are in the left side. You can't say, or you can't use the word left side or left. This must be called left alignment. So by default, I'm using the word by default because there may be some methods to change the alignment of text, right? By default, they take the left alignment, but if you want them to the right alignment, that is also possible, but that is not the default setting. You have to do that, right? So that's the reason why I use this word by default all the time. So labels by default take the left alignment. Have you noted the other two numbers which I typed? Look at the A1. There is a number in A1, but have you noted that alignment? That doesn't take left alignment. It takes right alignment. Why? It is not the label. The data which are numerical figures, which are related to numbers, are called values. Okay, so data related to numbers, numerals, should be called value. But in the previous example, right, we couldn't have any value because there may be a number, but not only number, there are some other characters too. That is not the value. If it is value, it must be numerals. It must be numeric characters. So both A1 and C5 have value. Values take the right alignment by default, right? Even the alignment of the value can be changed into left but by default, they take the right alignment. Okay. Finally, we have another data which can be entered in a cell is formula. You know what formula is because you have some idea in the grade 10. So now look here. I selected this D2 and type equal 50 minus 45. Right? In D2, I have typed equal 50 minus 45. So look closely. In D2, we don't have any label. If it is label, it must be the combination of text, number, symbols. So you may think that it is a combination of a number and symbol or something. Or sometimes people may think that it is labeled, but it is not labeled because if a data starts with equal sign and able to perform some calculation in a cell, then it must be called formula. I repeat it. The data in a cell starts with an equal sign and able to perform a calculation, then it can't be called text or other things. It must be formula. So the one which I typed in D2 is a formula. Let me press the enter key. Now see, now I got the number 5. So now maybe the result is the value. Look at this. This is in the right alignment. So it is value. But this is not the one which I talked about. I look at the heading. Look at my heading. My heading is data entered in a cell. So did I enter the number 5? No, right? I typed this one. So this is the formula. This is entered in D2. Maybe the result of this formula is a number or is a label. That may not be a point. So we have to focus on the data which we entered, right? So this is called formula. Understood? So a cell can have 3 types of data. Label. So which alignment does it take? It is left. Then value. What about this? This is right. And then formula. It is for performing calculation. Okay, right. Right. So hereafter we have to move to that most important part, formula. You know, when it comes to examination, you know, almost all the questions are based on this formula, writing formula and understanding how the formula is changed when it is copied or something, right? So let's understand them little bit fast, right? I'm not going to run quicker, but let me accelerate little bit than my normal pace. Okay, to introduce those formula, I need some data. So let me type some data quickly. Okay, look. So I have some data. I have this data because I wanted to apply the formula there. So I want some data. Okay, look here. So I have some data, which in fact I have 16 data, 16 numbers. So in each row, I have 4 numbers. So let's add the first row, right? There are 4 numbers in the first row. Let's add all these numbers and show the result in E1. Okay. So let's write a small formula. Every formula must start with equal sign. So now I need to add 78, 76, 65, 65. Yes, you can use the number directly like 78, 76, 65, 65. This is a formula, no doubt. If you press the enter key, it shows the answer. But the problem is, if you use this method, you can't get the others total, because to find the total in the second row, you need to type a formula again. To get the total in the third row, again, you need to type a formula. Typing formula again and again is not easy task. You need to spend a lot of time. So we have another method where a formula can be copied and pasted to the others. But this is not right because here you have letters, or sorry, you have numbers. Suppose if you copy this formula to the others, definitely this number will be repeated because you do copy paste. So when it is copied, everything will be same as your original, right? So don't do this one. So I'm going to delete it. So rather than mentioning the numbers directly, you can use the cell address which has numbers. So for an example, equal, earlier I put 78. Now give the cell address which has 78. Where is it? A1. For addition, put the plus. Where is this 76? It is B1 plus. Where is this 65? C1 plus D1. Okay. A1 plus B1 plus C1 plus D1. Now press the enter key. Look here. Now you got the right answer. 284. All these numbers are added. Now I got the answer for the first row. In order to get the total for second row, don't think that it is again writing the same, writing another formula like equal A2 plus B2 plus C2 plus D2. That is not important. If you want, you can write the formula again, but there is no need. Why? This formula can be copied and pasted to the remaining three cells. I have A1 plus B1 plus C1 plus D1 in E1. So this formula can be copied to E2. Can be copied means copy and paste. I don't use the word paste, but remember, copying means copy and paste. So if I copy this formula and paste in E2, definitely E2 gets the answer. And also if I paste in E3, E3 also gets the answer. Let's see how it works, right? So how to copy a formula to the other cells? There may be two different methods. Let me show the first method, right? That is copy paste method. So in this copy paste method, you have 4 steps. The first step is select the cell which has the formula. Now look here, this E1 is the cell which has the formula. You can observe the formula bar. Have a look at the formula bar. It shows equal A1 plus B1 plus C1 plus D1. So now cell E1 has the formula. But for us, it seems to be 284. That's okay. It shows 284. But don't forget, this 284 is obtained by using a formula. So for us, now E1 has this formula, A1 plus B1 plus C1. So now I selected the cell because I'm going to copy this formula. That's why this has been selected. First step over. So what is the second step? You have to click on copy icon. See this on this ribbon, you have copy. So click on copy. So now see that cell has some dotted lines. That is an indication for selection. So now this has been selected. Note I didn't select the 284. That formula has been selected. So 2 steps over. The third step would be select the destination cell. So where do you want to save them, or where do you want to display them? In E2, E3, E4, right? You want this formula to be pasted in E2, E3, E4. So selecting cells one by one and pasting takes time. Yes, you can select E2 and click paste. After that, you can select E3 and paste. That takes time. So now as a third step, I can select all these 3 cells, which means that particular cell range can be selected. What's the cell range? E2 colon E4. So select this cell range, right? Third step is over. What would be the last step? Paste. Click on paste. Now see, we got the answer. So what happened now? I copied that particular formula in E1 and pasted in the remaining cells. To do that work, I took 4 steps. So repeat those steps. This can be asked in exam. What are the 4 steps? First of all, select the cell E1. In my case, it's E1. That is first step. Why did I select that E1? It is the cell which has formula. So that is first. What is the second step? Click on copy icon. Okay, I have copied because this formula has to be pasted to the other cells. That's why it is copied. Second step over. What's the third step? Have to select the destination cells. So what are the cells here? E2 to E4. Okay, E2 to E4. Select the cell range E2 colon E4. Finally, click on paste. Sorry, I copy again. Then select the cell range and paste. Okay, so we got it. So I will show you how that formula changes when the formula is copied, not now. So as you can see, equal A1, B1, C1, D1 is the formula which we entered. But now that has been changed. Look at the E2. E2 shows another formula. But this is not the one which I typed. A2, B2, C2, D2. Even go to the E3 and check it. Again, further changed. Equal A3 plus B3 plus C3 plus D3. Even in the last one, we have another one. So now it clearly shows that the formula which we entered in E1 has been changed, right? So let's understand the change. But before that, I will show you the second method of copy paste. Earlier, I used the copy paste in 4 steps. But this method is sometimes hard when you are doing practicals, because when you are doing practicals, following the 4 steps sometimes takes time. You have to select the cell and then go to the ribbon and click on copy, and then come to the cell range, select it and click paste. It takes time. In order to overcome this issue, we have another method for copy paste. What? Look at the fill handle. In the fill handle, right bottom corner of the fill handle. Okay, look at the right side bottom part or bottom corner of the fill handle. See, there is a small mark. I will zoom in. You can see that. So there is a small square on the right bottom corner. This is known as fill handle. Hope you remember. So fill handle. Okay. So you may use the fill handle in order to copy. So now take the mouse pointer on top of that fill handle and wait until that mouse pointer turns to a plus mark. Generally, the mouse pointer seems to be this plus. Look at the mouse pointer now. It seems to be a plus, but in a different shape. But when you approach that fill handle, it turns to normal plus sign. So now click and drag up to E4. You have to click and drag up to E4. Okay, now release the mouse button. And you can see the values are there. So what happened? Same thing happened. What is it? Copy paste. While we are dragging the fill handle in the background, the copy paste action was taken place. Okay, there is no drama, there is no magic happened, only the copy paste happened. But it looks like a shortcut method because, as I mentioned earlier, following those 4 steps takes time. That's why they also implemented this idea. Okay, right. So I do it again. You have to select that E1 because E1 has the formula. That's why I have selected, and go to the fill handle. Wait until it becomes as plus. Now click and drag up to E4. Okay, right. So I know these things are very simple, but the important thing here is how these values are taken. Because, in general, if you copy something and paste in several times, the same data, which means that original data will be duplicated. I typed my name somewhere in MS Word or in any other software and copy pasted my name 10 times. So no wonder I have 10 names, right? If my name is copied and pasted 10 times, there should be 10 names, 10 of my names, right? Printed. But here also, look here, we copied this one and pasted in other cells, but we couldn't get 284. But when I copy my name and paste, I get my name again and again. But when I copy 284 and pasted, we couldn't get 284 again and again. We have different names. So it simply tells you that 284 is not selected or is not copied. Suppose if 284 is copied, definitely this is 284, this is 284, this is 284. But here you have another number, here another number, here another number. So it is not the 284, it is the formula, right? It is the formula which is copied. But it seems that 284 was copied, but reality is not like that. So now time to understand how the change occurred, how that is possible to get different answers in different cells. Even though I took enough time to explain this one at the time when we studied grade 10, I'm going to take again some time to explain, because without this you cannot manage. So again, listen to me carefully. If you have doubt, you can ask. Okay, so look. So now in E1, I have this formula equal A1 plus B1 plus C1 plus D1. When it is copied to E2, that is changed, right? That is changed to A2, B2, C2, D2. So now let's understand how this change occurred. How equal A1, B1, C1, D1 changed into equal A2 plus B2 plus C2 plus D2. I will explain. Look here. Right? So you have a formula in E1, okay? E1, what is it? Equal A1 plus B1 plus C1 plus D1. Where is it? It is in E1. This has to be copied in E2. We will copy this one into E2. So let's understand how this formula changes. Look, I have told you several times. I have told you all the possible methods, all the possible ideas in order to understand that term. Still, I know there are some students who don't, have a good idea, right? So look here. So what has to be checked first? You have to check whether you go to the, or you change the column, or whether you change the row. At present, you are in E1, you are moving to E2. So what does it mean? Now I realize that we are changing the row, because going from first row to second row, so row will be changed. But have you noted the column? Column remains same. So this is the first thing to be noted. Now I realize that the row is the one which needs change. First one. What's the second one to be noted? Immediately you have to decide one more thing. What is it? How far we go down. Just now we identified that change in row. Immediately I ask myself, how many rows that we passed? How long we, how far we move, right? So you are in E1, you will be in E2. So just moved, just passed, only one row. Going from first row to second row, only one row down. That's enough. That's more than enough to conclude the answer, get the answer. So now you should realize that every row number in this formula takes the next number, which means every row number will be increased by 1. What's the reason? Here, there is an increment in row number. So when the destination of the formula is increased, definitely the numbers in the formula also increased. So now what happens to A1? It becomes A2. Don't worry about the letter A, because as I told you earlier, column is not changed. So here AA, but 1 becomes 2. Plus always plus because you copied and pasted, right? So this is plus. B1 becomes B2. Plus C1 becomes as C2. Plus D1 becomes as D2. So this is displayed in E2 at the moment. So you can see that on the screen, right? Okay. So this is equal A2, B2, C2, D2. Even if you further copy, now look here, this is E2, so you may copy to E3. So when it is copied to E3, what happened? Again, look here, going from second row to third row. So now also you go to the next row. So what happens now? A2 becomes as A3, B2 becomes as B3, C2 becomes as C3, D2 becomes as D3. Here also column is not changed because you were in E column. Now also you are in E column. So column letters are not changed. Clear? So this is the first thing to be understood about the change occurred when a formula is copied. Not only this one, you need to understand some other things, but this may be the very first thing to be understood when it is when it comes to that change, right? Formula changes. Okay, right. Right. So let's take a simple formula to understand the concept. Look here, I have a formula in E10. Okay. In E10, we have formula equal B8 plus, okay, B8 plus D11. Okay, simple formula. It is in E10. So let's copy this one, this formula into E30. Okay, E30. So now there should be a formula in E30. Definitely this is no, this formula should be changed, right? Because this is in E10. Now it will be copied to E30. So you change the cell. So definitely this needs a change. Let's understand that change. How? At present you are in E10. You will be in E30 later. So what's the first thing to be noted? Whether you change the column or row. EE. So column remains same, but row changes. So what is the first decision to be made? Row numbers will be changed because here the row changes. So definitely in this formula, row needs a change. That's first one. Then you should understand, or you should check how long or how far you go down. You were in row number 10, you are in row number 30. So now you went quite a long distance. In the previous example, you just passed to the next row, but now this is not the next row because going from E10 to E30, you passed around 20 rows or something. So don't take your fingers and count one by one. There is no need. Look here, equal. So we understood that row needs change. This 8 and this 11 needs change. No changes occurred in B, right? B remains B, D remains D. Okay. So let's take the formula in E30 now. Okay. B, no problem. Okay, let's see what happens to this 8. When you are, or when you were in 10, right? 10 row, this is 8. So too short, right? You were in row number 10, but this shows 8. But now you are in 30, so definitely here also 2 rows short. So what's the idea? It is 28. Have you understood? You were in row number 10, but here that formula shows 8. So you have 2 rows less. Here also you can less that by 2. So it is 28. It is B because column remains same. Put the plus. D remains D, no doubt. When you were in 10, that is 11, or that was 11, but there is an increment, 1, right? Next row. When you were in row number 10, it was 11, which means it took the next row. Now you are in 30th row. So, okay, you are in 30th row. 10, 11. So when you are in 30th row, what happens? It takes next row. So what is it? D31. Okay, so this is displayed in E30 at the moment. Okay, right. Look, so I have another small question or another example. Look here, you have a formula in B10, which is equal C10 plus D8 or something. Okay, B10, that's a cell which has this one, right? C10 plus D8. So let's copy this formula to C10. This is in B10. It has to be copied to C10. So what will be displayed in C10 now? Let's understand, right? What does C10 have at this moment after copying? So how to check? You were in B10, now you are in C10. So what was changed? You know, column is changed. In the previous 2 example, we changed the row, but this time row remains same, but column changed. It was B, but now it's C. Okay, so now you should understand that here in this formula, these columns never be, these row numbers never be changed. Why? Remain same, 10, 10. So here nothing changes in rows. Definitely this column letter needs a change. How to understand that one or how to get that? You have to check how long that you move. So how much you move. So you were in B column, now you are in C column. So how far you move to the right side? Just once. Because you know columns are named by letters. So you were in B, which means second column. Now you will be in the third column. So you just move the next column. So what happens to the column letters in the formula? They also take the next column because the destination changes, so they take the change. So C becomes D. So this is D10 plus this D takes another one. So this is E. So E8. Okay. So this is another idea. Right. So as you can see now, I used a formula and try to change or try to copy that formula in another cells. I copied in both vertical and horizontal, and you could see the change. Right? So in this particular example, in these 3 examples, those cell addresses were changed. Okay, let me take it again. A5. Okay, I want someone to get the answer, right? Because to check. So have a look at them carefully. There is a formula in A5 equal D10. Okay, D10 plus E15 or something. It will be copied. It's a simple question because I want to explain a particular concept. That's why I take it. It will be copied to A6. So what does A6 have? Okay, what does A6 have? So let's ask someone. Aksaran, Aksaran. What is in A6 now?
Equal
Yes.
E11 plus E16.
Okay.
Equal
Can you repeat your answer? The sound, I mean that network is not good.
E11 plus E16.
Okay, I come to another one. Perujan, can you give the answer? Perujan.
D11 plus E16.
What about equal? Equal also there, right?
Oh, sorry, equal, sir.
Equal D11 plus E16. It's correct because you move from A5 to A6, which means you go to the, or you went to the next row, but column remains same. So here, column letters never be changed, D, D, E, E. But you went from 5 to 6, so you just pass one row. So here 10 becomes 11, 15 becomes 16. Okay, so this is right. Now I'm going to copy the same formula to B5. Okay, it is in A5. Now it will be copied to B5. So tell me, what does B5 have at this moment? Januga? Januga.
E11 equal E11 plus F16. Sorry. Sorry, sir. Equal
Yes.
E10 plus
E10 plus
F15.
F15. Okay, let's discuss. A5, B5. Going from A5 to B5. So what is changed? Column changed, not row, right? So definitely this 10 remains 10, this 15 remains 15. No, nothing changed. But look here, you go from A to B. You just go to the next row, sorry, next column, right? You just took the next column. So here, this D takes next column, so E. This column E also takes the next column F. So this is E10 plus F15. Look, we typed E10, sorry, D10, E15. In the original formula or in our formula, we typed as D10 plus E15. Listen to me carefully. But when this formula is copied to A6, right, A6, D10 became D11. Okay, when we copied this formula to A6, D10 becomes D11, E15 becomes E16. So now have you noted in this particular instance, row changes, right? Not column, there is a change occurred in row. So now row changes. We copy the same formula in another cell. This time we copy the same formula to B5. And now, have you noted, this D10 becomes E10. E15 becomes F15. So here also we faced a change, but not in row, right? Look here, row same, but column. D becomes E, E becomes F. So now we change column, right? Column. So what's the conclusion? So in this formula, this D10 changed as D11 at one instance, but now it changed as E10. So what's the conclusion? So here row also changed. In one instance, the row changed. In the other instance, the column changed. So I can simply say now, this cell address or the column and the row in the cell address can be changed when this formula is copied. At one instance, the row is changed. In another instance, the column is changed. So in this particular cell address, both column and the row can be changed. It depends on the situation. If you copy to the next row changes. If you copy to the next column changes. So this kind of a cell addresses are called relative cell addresses. Relative cell addresses. So in relative cell address, you can expect a change in both column and row. Again, I tell you, it depends on how you copy. If you copy to the next column changes. If you copy to the next row changes. Here, row changes. Why? You change the row. That's why row changes. Look here, now column changes. Why? You copy to the next column. So this kind of a thing. So in this formula, both D10 and E15 are called relative cell addresses. The reason is in that particular cell or in those two cell addresses, both column and row can be changed. This is called relative cell address. We have another cell address. We also have another cell address called absolute cell address. I tried to explain absolute in the next class. I may take maybe half an hour for explaining the remaining absolute cell address and also functions. We have 5 functions. So I have to explain or I have to clarify the difference between formula and function or whether they are same or different. So it takes around 30 minutes. After that, we can do the past papers. Okay, so enough for today. We can discuss the remaining things in the next class. Thank you.